So the NFL has dropped their new NFL Nike Rivalries uniforms that are going to be worn by teams from both the AFC East and NFC West through January. And today we're going to be ranking them. Figured that would be a fun video. And it's, of course, my opinion. We are not going to agree because uniforms are a very subjective thing. It's not, okay, this is what looks good to me, and that's the answer for everybody. I think we have some very different tastes in uniforms and what different combinations and colors look good together. And I know that from Twitter because I tweet out when I don't like something and people think I hate every uniform. It's not the case. Twitter.com/Bengal YouTube if you want to argue about it. And I tweet out whenever I think there's a bad uniform combo, I'm tweeting about it. This is something that I care about, weirdly, for some reason. I minored in graphic design. As if that would matter. But we're going to start out with number 8, the Miami Dolphins Rivalries uniform. I really don't like this. And it's a shame because I love the Dolphins color scheme typically. My favorite color is orange. I think the teal works really, really well, or aqua, or whatever you want to call that. And I think they've got the most aesthetic looking logo. I just think the colors work so well, and I just love what the Dolphins have going on. I think it's a really tough combination to screw up, and I feel like they've managed to do it. I think this looks really, really bad. I don't know what it's going to look like on the field, but just basing off of the pictures that we have, I think it really looks horrendous. And I love how the orange pops. I will say that. Like, the colors pop on the dark background, but man, I feel like this really looks awful. Like, it's kind of black, but it's more of a midnight navy, and you're going to see that trend here with a different uniform coming up pretty soon as well. Guess what? Like, it's black. Everything at midnight looks black. So a midnight navy, that's kind of too dark of a color to go with. And I love a midnight blue. I just think these Dolphins uniforms left so much to be desired. And I think there is a really good way to do it. One of my favorite follows on Twitter is NFL Fashion Advice. And he came out a long time ago, at least a month ago, but I think maybe even more. This is a repost. This deep blue sea version of what Dolphins alternates could look like. And I think this actually looks really, really good. And there's actually a conversation here that kind of has foreshadowing, where you have would be better than black. No doubt. No need to force black when you can find a different dark shade in your aesthetic history. And that's kind of a trend that you'll notice with teams nowadays. They force black into their uniforms. They force all white alternates. And it often, to me, looks and feels forced, and it's just not as good. But there's something about this navy color, when it's legit navy, actually makes this combo look so good. And instead of embracing this idea, the Dolphins went with a much darker color where you can say, okay, it's not black, but it might as well be. It's so dark that it looks black, and I feel like it does not flow together at all. When you actually see it up close, it doesn't look as black, and of course these are, highly edited and produced pictures, and it makes it look not so bad as just a standalone jersey. And honestly, here it doesn't look so bad either. And I think standalone, the helmet actually looks pretty good. But there's something about both together that just look awful in my opinion. But even the back of the jersey doesn't look very good. I feel like these really did have potential. This is the lowest quality video I've ever seen. But it just doesn't work for me. I'm not going to, beat on it too much, but this is my number 8 spot. This video is sponsored by Underdog. Underdog is the best place to play daily fantasy sports. As you can see, I hooked it up. When you use code BENGAL, sign up at Underdog, you can get a free bonus pick for Malik Neighbors week 1, the 7th of September. All you need is 1 receiving yard for Malik Neighbors to go over. It's quite literally a free pick. It will be free. Go ahead, take full advantage of that. If you play 5, you can get $50 in bonus funds. Sign up using code BENGAL. That link's going to be down in the description. Again, just deposit and play with $5. They will give you $50. You're eligible to play Pick'em in any of these states. New Hampshire, Vermont, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, all eligible. Florida, California, Oregon, Texas. you can play Pick'em. But so many states can also play Draft. It's fantasy football season, it's draft season. You can play draft in any of these states on the map, with the exception of New York, Connecticut, Maine, Delaware. You can see on the map, but this is the best place to play daily fantasy sports. I'm not sure I'm going to be taking any preseason picks, but let me know down in the comment section below, who should we be picking this year? Who are some of the best players to take? Who are some of the guys that are being undervalued the most? Let me know down in the comment section below. Use code Bengal on Underdog. Again, when you play 50 or play 5, you get $50 in bonus funds, but please remember to play responsibly. So many different ways to get help. Call the Hope line if you're in New York, or call 1-800-GAMBLER. So many different places to play. Thank you so much to Underdog for sponsoring this video. Let's get back to this video. Next up at 7, I'm going to have the Seattle Seahawks. I am not really a huge fan of these either. You know, it took me a minute to figure out exactly what I thought the vibe was on this. And I get that there's supposed to be sound waves or whatever. And I loved the wolf gray alternates that the Seahawks had, like in the Earl Thomas Legion of Boom era, you know, Richard Sherman, Cam Chancellor, Brandon Brown, or even those guys. I love that they're bringing back wolf gray, but man, I do not like the implementation. I really don't. But the vibe on these sound waves just looks like, I think her name is Mystique from X-Men, the weird blue character. Jennifer Lawrence plays her in the new ones. I don't know. I'm not really a big X-Men guy, but that's what it looks like to me. And I don't think it's particularly good looking. You know, they've got these iridescent green, like, numbers. Oh man, this one is debatably worse than the Dolphins one. It really just does not look good. And I get that if there's ever a time when they're going to look good, it's with these highly produced and edited photos. Let's call it for what it is. But I don't really even think they look that good here. And I don't really like the helmet even. I think you can especially see how awful the numbers look and just the jersey in general. I think I could get down with the sound waves a little bit more if the numbers didn't look so ridiculous, but they do. They do look just that ridiculous. I think there, again, was potential here. You can't really even see the helmet. It doesn't really look especially good. It's just not it. Like, I don't even think the helmet looks particularly good. It just seems dark. Like someone turned the lights off and took the pictures. I don't think it really pops in any meaningful way. And maybe that's the whole design of it, but I think it's a bad design. It just looks dark. Like, I'm not about it. I think the Rams are up next. I kind of go back and forth what I think about this uniform, and similar to the Dolphins, it's another one where it is not black, but it's black. Like, let's just be real about it. It's a midnight navy, but it's just a little bit too dark. Maybe it'll look different on the field, and maybe it'll look different when you're not actually looking at these super edited pictures. And I do like how the helmet kind of looks like that Batmobile type color, and the matte I think makes it look pretty good. And again, standalone helmet, I really don't think it's bad. I wish the color choice was just slightly different. I don't think this one's terrible. I think a lot of people hate this one, and I think they did a number of things that make me consider the uniform a little bit worse than how I maybe would have. But there were just a couple of missed opportunities here. And missed opportunities maybe is not even the correct word. But on the jersey specifically, I think this weird kind of fade in between the numbers is just not ideal for me, with the kind of blue speckles. And I don't really love the gradient type appearance where the typical Rams blue fades into the midnight blue. It's got a weird pattern. Again, I think it could have looked cool, but I just don't love the way it's been implemented here. On the back, it's, the exact same deal. And for the same reasons that I don't love it on the front, I don't love it on the back. Here you can see it is a little bit more of a midnight navy, like almost a Yankees type color, as opposed to just like a true black, the way it appears in their promotions. But again, back to NFL fashion advice, I think if they had used this version of navy, it would look absolutely awesome, like a midnight blue, where it's actually blue and not super dark navy, midnight navy black, essentially is what it is. I think this would actually look fantastic, but that's not what they did. And I don't think that they would need to go necessarily, no inner color. Like, they could still use the white if they wanted to, the way that they actually ended up doing. But I think that this color really makes all the difference. And even the yellow looking just slightly more gold because of it, I think would look awesome. But again, it's not what they decided to do. This color is just too dark. And then if you're going to use any version of the navy, the midnight blue, why are you including the other blue? I feel like it defeats the purpose. It is cool that the horn, the Rams horn, is back on the jersey in some way. It's on the sleeve here. I just don't love the sleeve in total, but it's cool that an actual horn is back. I think, teams going more into the creativity with their team name makes for a better jersey because it feels more inspired, more creative. But again, you can be creative, you can be cool. At the end of the day, it still just needs to look good. And I don't think this one does. I think this is another one of those uniforms that kind of seems like a fake knockoff uniform that you see get made every now and again. Like, you remember when these uniforms used to get made? They were never worn on the field because obviously they weren't, but they were made all the time. I honestly think I had one, which I was a kid. You're going to have to give me a break there. But this just looks absolutely awful, and it feels like the NFL now by choice is going to wear similar looking jerseys. And I think this would be the spot for the Patriots for me. This is where we start to get to the ones that, in my opinion, actually look pretty good, but are not fully there for me. So what could improve this? One, I like the color scheme of the jersey. I think with this particular color of blue, it really makes the red pop all that much more. I think this is where it's starting to get into the good territory. I wish the logo was not this same color of blue that they're using. And in the back end, I wish they used their actual Patriot or a version of it that features red on the kind of flames of the hat, if you will. I know they're not flames, but it kind of has that appearance of the kind of Revolutionary Times hat. If that was actually red, I think that would make the helmet look even better. But in general, I think this looks pretty good. I love the collar. I think the major thing that ruins this for me, not to say that it's ruined, but the major thing that actually detracts from this for me is the sleeves. I don't even mind the weird NE on the sleeve. I think that looks fine, but it's the striping here at the top of the shoulder pad that I just don't like. And it's one of those things where I can't tell you exactly why I don't like it. Maybe I wish some red in there, but I think maybe the thickness of these stripes and just the two standalone colors of that dark navy. I think it might be the thing with the Rams uniform where the two blues, they don't help each other. They just kind of detract from the whole thing. I think it looks okay in the numbers, but the navy, I think, is throwing everything off. And I also think I'm just not a fan of designs inside the numbers. I wish it was just solid white, and I probably like this jersey even more. But it's the design, the pattern inside the numbers that really take away from this for me. Again, these are not necessarily bad, but I think the numbers and the shoulders kind of hurt this one a bit for me. And I think the helmet could be better, but I think the red is going to look so nice when paired along with these. That's my current theory, but yeah, no red on the back is kind of frustrating. Like maybe a little bit of red in the pants and a little bit of red in the numbers would have looked good, but currently the way that it looks, it's just slightly disappointing because the potential here was great. The stars on the collar are awesome. The Nike swoosh is awesome, but it's just not all the way there. And probably controversially so, I'm going to throw the Bills in this spot. And this is probably a personal bias going into it, but as soon as I saw these Bills uniforms, I just thought of this style of uniform that I've seen, or this jersey that I've seen before, right? It just looks like kind of a fake uniform. And it does seem like they're forcing white. I can't get all the way there with it because it looks like kind of a knockoff jersey in a way. Like the chrome and the blue, I don't think it fits all that well. I get what they're going for, and it certainly by no means looks bad, but the silver to me, being as prominent as it is, just throws things off. Like, I don't like the Bills logo here on the helmet with the silver and the blue. It just doesn't look good to me. I don't mind it on the top of the helmet here, and I don't mind it on the stripe. I think the silver actually looks very good, but I think the fact that the silver is not an outline color here, but it's actually filling up the entire Bills logo, I think that's what hurts it a lot for me. I think it would look better as an accent color. It's a little bit much, but I kind of like it on the sleeve. Like, I know people are going to absolutely love this one, and it's not a bad one to me, but I think it's a lot of silver, and it just kind of looks like a fake jersey to me. But it's all white. I get people are going to love it. I totally get why. Like, this looks really, really clean, but I think the silver being filled in with the blue is just not my favorite. But these, I think, could look very good on the field. And then I'm going to go with the Jets. I think these are close to the last few that we've looked at in terms of the overall grade. I think these are kind of close to about maybe a 7 out of 10. And I didn't initially think that I would like these, because with the color palette that they've used, it doesn't necessarily make anything stand out so much. But I'm a big Batman guy. I like the Gotham City angle. I like using this different green than they usually use. It's more of like an army green compared to the, I guess, the forest green that they would typically use. I'm not sure the exact name for it, but I think this actually works. I think it does kind of blend together, but in a way that I like. Now, I think the uniform probably could be better if they used a darker nameplate and numbers as opposed to this kind of light gray color. I think you're not really leaning so much into the Gotham at that point, but I think it does work for me a little bit. Now, I do think it's really cheesy to go with kind of like this, what would you even call it? Like this kind of graded floor type of, it's like a metal type of floor pattern that they're using on the shoulders here and on the logo area. I think that does look pretty corny, but I really like the helmet. I like how it's dark. I like how it's grungy. And they're going for the grungy type of look with the pattern on the shoulders, but I think the pattern is a miss for me. I'm just not a pattern guy on uniforms in general, I suppose, but I mostly do like the way that it looks. I think it does flow together, but the pattern for me is the one thing that kind of ruins it. Like, they're calling it a patterned stripe or stripes, maybe. That's what they're called, I guess. But I don't love it. The manhole cover inspired pattern, that the pattern is just not it for me. And I'll say that, but I overall like the aesthetic. I think it's pretty good. Again, they're about a 7 out of 10. I think these look fairly good, and I'm excited to see what they look like on the field. Next up, I'm going with the 49ers. These got a lot of hate, but I don't think these are significantly worse than any of the other ones here. In fact, I actually kind of like these. I think one of the trends that we're seeing with these rivalry uniforms, as we're seeing this in like 11 frames per second for the aesthetic, I guess, but one of the trends with the rivalry uniforms is using slightly different colors compared to their usual ones. Now, the 49ers obviously are red and gold. We all know that. The red looks to be about the red that they typically use, but the gold is a little bit more of a darker, more rustic kind of gold. It's a little bit more mustardy, and I think it works. I feel like when you think of the 49ers, it's easy to kind of go away from what the name actually is. It almost seems like some type of just ambiguous team name. But obviously it goes back to the Gold Rush and the 49ers of, you know, were the people that went out to California and out west in 1849 and, you know, capitalized on that gold rush, but it feels kind of like Wild West, right? And I feel like we haven't really seen the 49ers ever lean into the Wild West type of aesthetic. But with the numbers here, I feel like they're really doing that. Now, I think it is lazy when teams that don't have black just incorporate black. It's especially the all-black uniforms. It's kind of an easy cop-out. And I think that kind of was the case with the 49ers, and they're just straight black and red uniforms that had no gold. But they did used to have black in their uniform. You know, back in, well, I guess Jerry Rice's time, but also with especially like the 2000s 49ers, they did have black incorporated, and it did actually look pretty good. So I don't think the 49ers using black is lazy at all. I like the helmet. I especially like the font of the 49ers, and I think this actually works fairly well. Do I think it's a little bit lazy that they're going all black? Essentially, yes, but I think it works, and I know that's going to be an unpopular opinion because I've seen already people don't really like this that much, but I think this is a really good looking uniform. I think the helmet works. I am for this. I think this is one of the better ones for sure. Which leaves the Arizona Cardinals as my number one. These got a little bit of hate on Twitter from what I saw. People are calling them tortilla themed, and I get that. And I think it's maybe a little bit strong. They're going for like a kind of a desert sandstorm type of vibe. But I think these look pretty good. I like the all, I guess you could call them white, but it's maybe more of a sandy cream type of color. I think these are the best ones for sure. I think these look awesome. I think, you know, going into the desert sunset type of feel. I think the patch on the shoulder looks amazing. You're going into the Arizona state flag, and it's one of the coolest state flags that we have. Probably the coolest state flag, maybe even by a wide margin. I like the old school Cardinals uniforms, like Pat Tillman era, where they featured the Arizona state flag on the jersey. I think that looked sick, and we really haven't seen them do that since, or not that I can remember. But here on these kind of sandstorm rivalry uniforms, they are featuring the Arizona state flag in some capacity. I think it's a big winner. I'm a really, really big fan. I think the light speckling on the helmet looks quite good. And I would say the Jets one as well, but also this one does kind of have like a military-esque style feel. Like this isn't quite a desert storm sand type of camo on the uniform, but it's close enough to have me getting that feeling of that. I really like the way they're implementing this kind of sunset feel with the red and the yellowy orange. I think that's a really, really good look. They're calling it tough red and copper. I think it's a really nice combo, and I think it's tough to fully feel these with the different color corrections that they have. They're making it look so warm, so red, so orange. It's tough to actually get a sense of what the uniform really looks like. But you can find some versions without the insane color correction, or maybe with less of it. And I think it makes the details look really, really good. I think it's just going to flow well. I think it's going to look great on the field. I think this is just clear cut for me, the best uniform. That may be an unpopular take, but I'm a huge fan. I think the helmet looks good. You can see kind of like the fade. It kind of just seems like sunset type of feel. I think it's really, really nice. There's a bit of like a hazy type of fade to it. I think it's got to be the best one for me. This is what the actual uniform looks like. Yeah, I just think it's great. I think maybe the font could be slightly unpopular, but, and I know not everyone's going to like the splatters. I said I was not really a big fan of a pattern, and I wish this was done a little bit more lightly, or I wish it was maybe a slight sandier color, and I think it would look really, really good. But I think this is the winner of the bunch for me. I also wish that the big kind of sand splotches were a little bit different. It does look a little tortilla-esque. I think it's gonna look really good on the field. I think this also opens up the opportunity for, you know, pants that go with that copper and red color. I think they could potentially experiment with those. I'm not sure if Nike would allow that. I'm not sure what the deal is with that, but if they wanted to, I think that could look kind of cool. But those are going to be my picks. I know a different style of video. I think it's cool that they're experimenting. I think it's cool that we're going to get these in 2026, 2027. And obviously we'll see, you know, how long it goes and what other type of alternate uniforms we're going to get. I think the NFL having a little bit more fun and going away from NFL standing for no fun league is definitely moving things in the right direction. Some of these are swings and misses. Some of them are so close to being better than they are. But I think it's going to be cool to see a little bit more variety. I don't want it to get to what the NBA does, where you can hardly recognize which team is playing nowadays, where everyone has, you know, 45 different alternate uniforms in an 82-game season. I know that's an exaggeration, but, you know, I'll flip on a basketball game. Not really much of a basketball fan anymore. And it'll be, I'll just use two teams here just for sake of the color scheme. It'll be Knicks Heat, and you got the Knicks wearing Heat colors and the Heat are wearing Knicks colors. You have teams wearing neon green when their colors are purple. Again, these are not exact examples, but we're getting a little bit too ridiculous in the NBA, in my opinion. Not that I don't want to have any fun, but fun within the scope of the team's general color scheme. And I think that's what we're seeing here with the rivalry uniforms. I'm obviously very excited to see my favorite team, the New York Giants, and we'll see other teams as well. I think, you know, the Eagles probably will end up with great ones, and the Cowboys, I think, could go to like a Navy type of uniform that could be fun that they've worn before. I think the opportunities are obviously there, and we'll see if they capitalize with them on the next drop. We're going to have to wait a little while to get that, but we'll see what happens next year. Maybe I'll be making another video like this. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. Take it easy.